I'm 52, and for years I believed this sentence was true. Love is earned by enduring pain. The more you put up with, the more you're loved. The quieter you stay, the more good you are. No one ever sat me down and taught me that. I taught it to myself, pulling it out of tiny compromises like a rule for survival. First I told myself, just manage it, then be the bigger person, and eventually I don't want much anyway, until even wanting something started to feel shameful. The moment that brought me here wasn't a huge fight. It wasn't some dramatic scene with a door slammed and someone storming out. It was quieter than that, and that's why it hurt more. Everything I'd been carrying on my shoulders for years spilled out through my body one day. I felt pressure in my chest, my breathing tightened, and my hands turned ice cold. And still my first thought was, forget it, it'll pass, because I was a woman who knew how to make things pass. I'd learned to swallow exhaustion, disappointment, and even my own needs, and that only made the weight I carried heavier. The housework, the responsibilities at work, the calls from family, the little crises everyone said, "You'll handle it." I collected them one by one. The same sentence kept looping in my head. Now is not the time. Anything I wanted for myself always came after someone else's need. By midday, my body started sending warnings. My hands went cold again, the pressure in my chest returned, and my breath felt trapped. When you carry other people's emotions for years and keep pushing down your own, your body eventually can't take it anymore. I tried to silence it with, "It'll pass," because again, I was someone who knew how to make things pass. What I hadn't seen was this. Everything I kept getting through was taking pieces of me with it. Right then, a message came from my husband, short but heavy. "We'll stop by my mom's tonight too. You'll handle it." For years, "You'll handle it," sounded like praise to me. That day, for the first time, it felt like a load dropped onto my back. A voice inside me asked, who am I? Am I just a system that keeps running? And in the name of love, I kept pouring more fuel into that system. The little girl inside me still whispered, "If you just endure a little more, he'll choose you." The place I said stop wasn't the moment I shouted at my husband. The place I said stop was the moment I stopped lying to myself, because I had treated love like a reward you earn by suffering. But that day I understood. Enduring pain doesn't grow love. It only normalizes me shrinking myself. And for years I had called that loyalty. Even now, when I talk about what happened next, my heart speeds up, because for the first time I was close to saying, I exist too. And I was standing right at the edge of that door. And when you reach that edge, your mind does strange things. Everything you've called normal for years suddenly becomes questionable. As the pressure in my chest got worse, I sat down on a kitchen chair and held my head in my hands. The first sentence that ran through me was, "Please, not now." The second one was even more painful. "It's never now anyway." I've lived my whole life saying, "Not now," even as a child. If someone in the house was sad, I went quiet. If someone was angry, I became invisible. My mother, with good intentions, would say, "Don't tire your father." Teachers would say, "What a well-behaved girl." Relatives would say, "She's like an angel." And I thought being angel-like was an achievement, because when you're angel-like, there's no conflict. When you're angel-like, people don't get mad at you. When you're angel-like, the fear of being abandoned seems to fade. As I'm saying this, maybe you're thinking about how many meanings being good can have in your own life. Do you mean truly good? Or do you mean not bothering anyone? For a long time, I thought they were the same. Then I tied love to this measure. If I'm suffering, it means I care. And worse, if I'm suffering, it means I'm being valued. Sitting there that day, I finally saw the system I'd built over the years. When my husband was tired, I pulled everything together. When he was tense, I calmed things down. When he was hurt, I apologized. And when I was tired, I told myself, don't exaggerate, as if my exhaustion was something shameful, something that should never become a burden to anyone. This time, instead of a message, my phone rang. Where are you? Will you make it in time tonight? His voice wasn't worried. It was schedule-focused, and something inside me snapped, because even when I was having a bad day, it still had to fit the plan. My body was sounding an alarm, but the flow of life still demanded my usual performance. My lips went dry. I tried to say, I'm not okay, just 2 words, I'm not okay, but they wouldn't come out. Saying I'm fine had become a reflex. It felt like basic politeness, what was expected of me. Then I thought, if I say I'm fine, everyone will relax. If I say I'm fine, everyone will keep going. If I say I'm fine, I will be ignored again. So that day, for the first time, I changed the sentence. I didn't say it perfectly. My voice shook, but I said it. I can't do it today. I didn't add an explanation. I didn't defend myself. I didn't decorate it. For the first time in years, I didn't try to prove my pain in order to earn love. And the silence on the other end taught me a lot. Because in that silence I saw this. The world didn't collapse the moment I said, I can't. Only the roles we were used to were shaken. My old reflex immediately rose up. I wanted to grab the phone again and say, actually, don't misunderstand. I even considered apologizing. I started preparing sentences to defend myself. I don't feel well, but it'll pass. I won't make a big deal. I promise I won't be a problem. I had been saying those lines automatically for years, because love always seemed to demand a price from me. Either my silence, my explanations, or even the careful packaging of my pain.
What made you believe for years that love is measured by sacrifice, and where did you pay the price for it?
For me, the answer doesn't fit into a single moment. When I was a child, love at home was mixed with silence. You were noticed when you were good, not when you needed something. When I cried, people said, don't exaggerate. When I pulled myself together, they said, good girl, you're so strong. Being strong felt like a doorway to love. When I was weak, love pulled back. So as I grew up, I built this equation. If I don't show my pain, I'll be loved. Then it grew into something bigger. If I keep carrying my pain, I'll become indispensable. When I got married, I thought I was lucky. In the beginning, there was attention. Not gifts, maybe, but words. There were sentences like, you're different. I held on to those words like a guarantee. Then life began. Bills, work stress, family issues, responsibilities, and those words became fewer. I panicked because my old fear woke up. If love decreases, it means I'm not enough. And right there, I started working to earn love. Do you know where I paid the price? I lost the map of my own boundaries. I forgot how to ask what I wanted. Even when something hurt me, I said, I can handle it. So my husband wouldn't be upset, I stayed quiet. So his family wouldn't be offended, I postponed my own family. So peace at home wouldn't be disturbed, I disturbed the peace inside myself. And over time I realized this. The more I sacrificed, the more love didn't grow, only expectations did. More became normal. If you're listening right now and you recognize a similar loop in your life, please do one small thing. Remember the last moment you said, I exist too. There are moments like that. Moments where even a single sentence can split your life in two. Sometimes someone's last words can destroy everything you thought was right for years. Soon I'll tell you how that turns into regret. And when you hear that story, you'll weigh your own years too. My phone was still in my hand. The silence stretched. Then a short, "Okay" came. "No." "Are you all right?" "No." "What happened?" It felt like I was a broken device, disrupting the plan. The guilt rose up again. But for the first time I saw that guilt wasn't love. It was discipline I'd been wearing for years. It was as if there was an invisible rule book I had lived by. Everyone first, then you. A good woman doesn't cause trouble. If you love, you put up with it. That discipline made me organized and useful, but it didn't leave me alive. After a while, I started to feel less like a person and more like a machine that never stops working. The voice of my guilt was so familiar. Before I even ended the call, it started talking inside me. "Look, you're being selfish again. People will be in trouble because of you. Your husband will get stressed. His mother will be hurt. You're exaggerating anyway." In the past, when that voice won, I ran to fix everything. I'd send messages. I'd apologize, explain, soften the situation, shrink myself, make everyone smile. That day, for the first time, I tried to silence it, not by fighting it, but by refusing to obey it. For years I treated pain as proof of my love. The more tired I was, the more valuable I felt. The more I endured, the more good I believed I was. Then I paused. But the more I got exhausted, the more no one produced love. They only learned to expect more from me. I convinced myself it hadn't been like this in the early years of my marriage. "Everyone ends up like this over time," I said. "Work is busy, life is hard." But the problem wasn't the busyness. The problem was that my invisible labor was accepted as natural without ever being spoken about. I made the plans. I reminded everyone. I mediated. I repaired relationships. And sometimes I realized this: if I stayed silent for one day, there would be no emotional conversation in the house, because I had been carrying the talking. Sitting there, the pressure in my chest rose again. It was too clear now to dismiss with, "It'll pass." I stood up, drank water, opened the window. As I tried to breathe, one sentence ran through me: "If I fall right now, who will catch me?" And I knew the answer. There was a strong chance that the people I'd held up for years had never learned how to hold me. My phone rang again, but I didn't answer. That was new for me. I usually ran to every call, and when I didn't, I felt terrible. That day, I did feel terrible. Yes, but for the first time, that terrible feeling didn't push me back into my old role. For the first time, what I had labeled as bad felt like it was telling me I was finally in the right place. That's what the first taste of boundaries is like. Not sweet, bitter at first, but the bitter part isn't love. The bitter part is the emptiness left by forgetting yourself for years. Then my husband walked in. The look on his face wasn't, "What happened?" It was, "Did the schedule get disrupted?" I didn't blame him in that moment, because he was used to my role too, but for the first time I didn't return to it. "I'm not here today," I said. "I'm not okay, and I need to rest." My voice shook, because when a woman has been loved for looking strong, it's frightening to show weakness. He looked at me for a moment. Then he said the sentence that shook me most. It wasn't a fight. It wasn't an insult. It was quieter, sharper. And the moment I heard it, my belief that love is earned through suffering cracked for the first time. Because that sentence stripped bare what I had called normal for years. He said, "Did you really have to do this now?" As if I had chosen to get sick. As if being exhausted was a problem I created in the middle of the plan. In that moment, the voice inside me that said, "If you endure, you'll be loved, stuttered for the first time. Because real love stands beside you in your weakest moment. It doesn't criticize your timing. My reflex tried to jump in again, to say, you're right, to say, I'm exaggerating, to say, I'm fine. The words were right there on my tongue. I had managed things like this for years, by not disturbing his comfort, by keeping the peace, by making it easy for everyone to overlook me. But that day, the moment I heard that sentence, another sentence rose up inside me, crystal clear. I'm not a schedule. There was silence. For the first time, I didn't fill it. I didn't explain. I didn't defend myself. I only said this. I have a limit too. I'm going to rest today. My voice shook as I said it, because I had hidden my limits for years to earn love. I thought that if I showed a boundary, I wouldn't be loved. But that day I saw the truth. If you have to suffer to be loved, that isn't love. It's a system. I don't know if he was angry, shocked, or hurt. He seemed to feel everything at once. You always do it. What changed now? He said. Even that question landed on my shoulders like blame. I thought, if I always do it, who learns? If I always do it, who grows? And the most painful one, if I always do it, when do I get to live? That evening I did one more thing, something huge for me. I didn't go to his mother's. I stayed home. I changed my clothes and lay down in bed. And the guilt came. Yes, it sat in my stomach. Now everyone will think you're selfish, the voice inside me said. But for the first time I read that guilt like a sign that I was finally standing in the right place, because I hadn't felt guilty for years while I stood in the wrong place. I only started feeling it when I moved closer to myself. I couldn't sleep all night, but my thoughts became clearer. I asked myself, why did I mix love with pain? And the answer hurt, because I knew pain. Pain felt familiar. Love, when it's unconditional, can feel so real it's frightening. Because I grew up with pain, I felt like I didn't deserve love without it. The next day, when I looked in the mirror, I said something to myself for the first time. I'm cancelling this contract. The contract of sacrificing myself for love. Not everything fixed itself overnight. I still had old habits. A part of me still said, explain, soften it, clean it up. But I knew one thing now. Love isn't earned through suffering. Pain only produces more pain. And I had stayed inside pain for years and called it loyalty. The next week I did something small, but life-changing for me. For the first time I asked for something directly, not with hints, not with resentment, not by ending with, never mind. I said a simple sentence, I need support too. Saying it made me feel like I was committing a crime, because I was always the one who supported, never the one who asked. Do you know what my husband did that day? He froze for a moment, then he tried to change the subject, and right there my old reflex returned. Okay, forget it, I'll handle it. But for the first time I didn't let it go. No, I said, this time we're going to talk. My sentence wasn't harsh, it wasn't a threat, it was simply clear. And clarity is scary when you've spent years surviving by being easy. In the days that followed, I realized something. When I set boundaries, the fights didn't grow, only the truth showed up. When I said no, some things didn't get better maybe, but at least the lie ended, because I had maintained a lie beautifully for years, as if I had no needs, as if I couldn't be hurt, as if I never got tired. But I was human, and love between two humans cannot be built on one person disappearing. If I had to define love, I'd say this. Love doesn't ask you to make yourself smaller. Love doesn't come toward you saying, endure. It comes saying, I'm here. If you're living pain like proof in a relationship, what you have isn't love. It's habit, fear, and a role you learn to play. And for tomorrow morning, I can tell you just one thing. Choose one sentence, just one. For example, I can't do it today, or I don't want this, or I need this. You don't have to add explanations. You don't have to defend yourself. And if guilt rises up inside you when you say that sentence, don't read it as, I did something wrong. Read it as, I'm learning something new. At 52, this is what I learned. You can't earn love through suffering, but you can take your life back by choosing yourself. And sometimes a single sentence can change the direction of decades. Soon you'll also hear the story of a man who weighed his years after losing the woman he loved, after one final sentence forced him to see everything differently, because some lessons feel heavier when you learn them late.